Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwander for Sales 2.0.
Hi, my name is Razi Imam. I'm with Landslide Technologies. I'm the CEO of the company.
Razi, what made you decide to start Landslide?
I decided to start Landslide in 1995, actually, because I was in sales and I was struggling in sales to really hit my numbers. I was around some really A players who could consistently bring in the $1 million deals, and I was trying really hard and not being able to decipher what was the magic that these guys were doing. And about when I really started to understand what they were doing, I realized that I could become a top-notch salesperson, but there wasn't any technology available for me to actually use to become a good sales guy. And about 2005, 2004 timeframe, it's just like how the universe comes together. The internet had grown to a point where all the technologies were readily available, and we could find engineers to build our technology. So we went ahead and started and built it. So here, let me explain what it is, if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, I want to know. What does Landslide do?
Basically, there are three things what a top A grade sales guy does consistently. The first one is a top sales guy follows a sophisticated, and the word is sophisticated, selling process. I'm not talking about a selling process which is generic, like leads come in and you try to sell. I'm talking about a sophisticated selling process. When I studied the A players and understood what they were doing, Gerhard, these guys knew every step of the way who they were working with, right, what was their objective, and what were they trying to accomplish. And that was the first part, knowing the whole game plan, the process. Right. The second part, which was very intriguing, and selling is what I believe in that, is it is a series of conversations. Right. There's no such thing as selling. It's nothing but a series of conversations, whether you have them over the phone or have them face to face. But if you don't know what conversations to have, with whom, at what time, and how to have that conversation,
and what questions
to ask, then you could have a process. You would just flounder with that process because you won't know what conversations to have. So top guys know the process and they know the conversation. And the last thing which led us to build Landslide was the fact that if you study the A players, they're intuitive. They can read the buyer. It is as if they have the sixth sense about where the buyer is in their buying process. And it's really not their sixth sense, Gerhard. What they do is they really understand the buyer's buying process and integrate that buying process as part of their selling process.
It's almost like they have helicopter vision. They feel the conversation, but also see it. Right.
Exactly. And if you really, they can spotlight on too. Right. They can really look at it. Now, what Landslide is exactly what I explained. It is the technology that allows you to take your top number one selling best practices and convert it into a process and make it available for every salesperson to follow. While following that sales process through Landslide, it brings out the selling tools, the conversation guides that you wish to have when you're engaging with the CFO versus a CEO versus a CTO. Okay? And the last thing it does, it deciphers where the buyer is in the buying process. It has a technology that lets the salesperson understand who the buyers are, who are really interested in his solution, his or her solution, and who are getting really engaged. So it does all of the three things that I had found that all of the top A players do. And one last thing what we did was the psychology of the sales guy was, let me sell, let me not do data entry. I hate data entry with a passion. So we gave them the process, we gave them the tools, and we gave them this technology to understand where the buyer is. But we also gave them a VIP service, a service that takes all of their mundane data entry away from their life.
So pick up the phone and...
Pick up the phone, you've been in a meeting, you pick up the phone and say, here are my notes, here's the person, and please add a task for me to call this person in 3 days. And it's done. When you log into Landslide, you're not logging into Landslide for data entry, you're logging into Landslide to follow your process and engage with your buyers.
So does Landslide make CRM obsolete?
Yes. I think what happens is that in the eyes of the salesperson, it makes it obsolete. CRM is an established technology. It's not going to go away. Right. It is a great technology for operations management, it is great technology for customer support and services, and inventory management, and what do I need to sell and how. But when it comes to a sales technology, it doesn't even have a sales technology. So to say it's obsolete, it was never adopted at the salesperson's level. So now,
what's the adoption rate for Landslide?
It's above 97%.
How do you measure that?
Well, we actually track it from all the deals that are coming in versus all the attrition that's happening.
How many companies use Landslide?
Currently, we have over 200 companies this year. We grew by 300%. We have 5 salespeople.
No, how many?
Oh, total? About 2,000 plus salespeople using Landslide. High adoption rate.
How do you prove the ROI on Landslide?
How do you prove?
The return on investment on Landslide.
Oh, very simple. When we sell Landslide, we establish some very hard-hitting goals for the VP of sales, meaning the revenue they need to accomplish, reducing the time to bring on a new salesperson, and measuring the pipeline velocity. We are able to present to the VP of sales what's happening in their pipeline, where they're focusing versus where they should focus, which salespeople are really following a process and not following a process, who are successful and who are not successful, and which area do they need to invest in. Like, for example, I have a perfect example. We have a VP of sales who said to us, after 6 months of using Landslide, they were going to invest $1 million in marketing and hire more salespeople. So they went into Landslide and they looked at the fact that when they looked at the pipeline, they were choking at the first 2 phases of their process, meaning leads were not their issue. Their issue was how those leads were processed through the sales cycle. And when they deciphered who within the sales team was working, they noticed that they were going to hire more people in Florida and leave Chicago and the midsection alone. What they realized was they were choking in the midsection a lot, so they needed to hire more salespeople here and spend more money in marketing in Florida. That's the insight that Landslide can give a salesperson, a VP.
It's great news. So we have Landslide, a new tool that replaces CRM and makes the sales process more efficient.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that.